Hello, and welcome to the Bookkeeping Made Simple podcast. My name is Donna, and I am the owner of Bookkeeping Made Simple. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's very, very frequently in the news. It's not the Olympics, it is inflation. And before I dig into that, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the red notification bell. These go out through YouTube and Spotify podcasts, and I am very, very excited to be part of both communities. So I want to talk about inflation, and let's talk about what causes it. If you listen to the news and if you listen to the government, they're going to say it's corporate greed. That's actually not the case. Corporations are bound by the laws of economics, whether they like it or not. So they are going to set their prices, figure their margins, and they're going to set their prices based on some calculations that we do. And they're going to figure how much they need to make, how many widgets they need to sell, and what the price needs to be to get the most people to buy the widgets at a reasonable cost. There's actually quite a bit that goes into pricing. However, inflation happens when the government reduces the value of money. Now let's go back to supply and demand. I had done a whole video on this talking about gold as a standard. I'm not going to do that in this one. I've kind of scrapped that video. But let's just go to supply and demand. If you have a lot of demand and a little bit of supply, prices will be high. Sometimes they call this price gouging, especially if it happens after a natural disaster. If I have a case of bottled water and I have, that's 24 bottles of water, but I have 1,000 people that want the water, I'm going to raise the prices so that only 24 people want that water because I only have enough for 24 people. If demand is high and supply is low, prices will be high. If demand is low and supply is high, prices will be low. Typically, we think of this as a good thing. But when it comes to money, right now, there is a large supply of money. The government has artificially increased the money supply. And there is low demand. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia, are considering going off of the petrodollar, which is supplied by the United States. And what does that mean? That means demand has dropped and supply has gone up. And that means your dollar does not buy as much as it used to. That's why there's inflation. The government has increased the money supply. When the money supply gets bigger and the demand for the dollar drops, that means that the dollar does not buy as much as it used to. It doesn't buy as much. Well, how do we get out of this? Well, the supply of money needs to shrink. And when it shrinks, and they will eventually do this, they're trying to shrink the money supply by increasing interest rates. So we have a large amount of money. Let's call it. I'll call it U.S. dollars. We have a large amount of U.S. dollars on the market, and the market being the American people, we have to use them, plus the international community, because prior to 2020, I don't know if it's still the case, prior to 2020, all sales of petroleum had to be conducted in US dollars. That's no longer the case. Several of the BRICS countries, again, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, who's the S? Saudi Arabia. They're saying they don't want to use the US dollar for their transactions between each other anymore. And that means that the demand for the dollar has dropped. All of this is at the government level. This is not at the corporate level. So, and that means when the supply is high, demand is low, the value has dropped. So the value of your dollar has gone down. The Fed is trying to prop up the value of the dollar by shrinking the money supply, and they're doing that by raising interest rates. However, when interest rates go up, again, demand also goes down because people don't want to borrow at high interest rates. And that means that when they are trying to shrink the money supply, but it also means that the economy slows down. When the economy slows down, we have a recession. And we have a recession when uh, when the money supply shrinks, we end up with a recession. They're trying to shrink the money supply by raising interest rates, which means that it's harder to borrow, which means that there's less money in circulation, which means that it's much harder to purchase things. And all of this is at the government level. I'm going to kind of just leave it at that. I'm going to end this video. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will be talking to you again soon. Let me know if you have any questions or any topics that you would like me to cover. Just leave them in the comments. I do check my comments pretty regularly, and I'm very interested to hear what you would like to hear about. Thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.